Hey Hofstra fans, welcome inside this week's edition of the W.B. Mason Coach Report here on GoHofstra.com. Tom Brady, the pleasure of being joined by the head coach of the Hofstra wrestling team, Rob Anspach. Coach, thanks as always for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, no matches this past week, but all gearing up for the upcoming week, Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational, a big tournament, 4 teams in the top 10, 8 in the top 25. What are you looking forward to from getting some good competition?
Yeah, it's another challenge for our guys. We get to go out there and measure ourselves against some of the top teams in the country. Big Ten teams will be out there, Ohio State and Illinois, Michigan and Nebraska, along with some of the Pac-10 teams, Arizona State, Boise State. And then there's just a slew of other good teams. You know, Cornell will also be out there. So it's just an opportunity for our guys to go out there and wrestle some of the best teams in the country along with some of the best individuals. So what we're looking for is a total team effort and taking one match at a time and winning some matches.
Are there any coaches or program-driven wrestlers that you particularly are looking forward to facing?
No, it doesn't matter to me. I talked to the team about just staying focused on one match at a time. You can't get out there and worry about, I've been seeded fourth or third, and I'm going to run into this guy in the quarterfinals or semifinals, because you never know what's going to happen. You can't control what anybody else is doing. The only thing you can do is control your matches and what you can take care of. So it's just really staying on one match at a time and worrying about those 7 minutes in front of you.
Now, as a wrestler, and now, of course, a couple years as a coach, what kind of experience can you give some of these guys to maybe help them in a big tournament like this?
Well, again, these guys most of them have been wrestling their whole lives, so it's nothing new for them. And when you start trying to talk to them about, oh, hey, this is a big tournament, that's when you start going in the wrong direction. Hey, this is just another match. This is another tournament, another match, and we got to take it as that. You start putting pressure on yourself because it's Las Vegas and it's this tournament, and that's counterproductive. So what we try to do is actually just take it back and say, hey, it's like any other match you've done your entire life. It's 7 minutes of wrestling. Go out there and worry about that.
Now, start to take a look at some of the brackets that you might see. 125, Steve Bonanno, of course, a very impressive start to the season, ranked number 13 in the latest rankings. 8 guys, it seems like, in his bracket could be ranked in the top 20 when he goes into it. So what should we expect from Steve at this point in his career?
Well, Steve's, in his 3rd year competing for us, he's one of the more mature guys on our team. What I'm looking for him to do is, which he knows he needs to work on, is start matches off much quicker than he has. Even the match he wrestled against Wisconsin, he went out and gave up the first takedown. Against Pirelli, he gave up the first 2 takedowns. Now, that's a matchup we could very easily see again, Bonanno Pirelli, somewhere in this tournament. And we need him to get out there in the first couple seconds of the match, not go down 2-0, and start dictating. Even if he's not scoring, stop from falling behind. And that's what we're going to look for him to do no matter who he's wrestling in whatever round it is.
Now, 141, Luke Byte, obviously a very impressive start to the season, 3-1, only loss being the injury default, a couple of tech faults for him. Same thing for him, 8 guys in the top 20, including 3 of the top 5 wrestlers according to this past week's ranking. So what kind of experience and what kind of, what are you looking to get from Luke out of it?
This is, one of those weight classes that's just very deep. You have the returning national champ and you have the returning finalists in that weight class. So when you put those 2 guys in there, it's just a great opportunity for Luke. He's not ranked in the country. It's a great opportunity for him to go out there and seize the moment and put himself on the national scene by going out there and competing. The thing he needs to do is he needs to relax and wrestle his matches. And we say it all the time. It's obviously a lot easier to say than to do, especially when you're wrestling this high level of competition. But at the end of the day, that's what you need to do. You need to focus on where you are good and stay in those positions. So when he runs into Kellen Russell or Novachkov or whoever he runs into along the way, he has to go out there and try and wrestle in his positions for as long as he can in those 7 minutes.
At 165, your highest ranked wrestler, number 4 in some polls, PJ Gillespie. 7 top 20 wrestlers in his bracket, including number 3 from this past week, Shane Oniford from Wyoming. Is this a tournament where you look at PJ Gillespie and you look at who he's got coming up and you think this is one he might be able to win?
Yeah, I mean, that goes with all our guys when we're looking into it. Hey, this is a tournament you can win, and you need to go out there and you need to prove it. PJ comes in probably going to be the 2 seed. So when you look at a seeding standpoint, he's favored to be into the finals, where other guys may not be. But again, he's a guy that You just said how many guys are going to be in his weight class that are ranked. Any one of those guys can beat you if you're not prepared to wrestle. Now, do we want to see another match with Onifer? Absolutely. We had that match at the Nationals last year. We had him beat. We made a silly mistake at the end of the match, and it cost us. So we want to see that rematch, but we can't overlook anybody else on our way to that match. But ultimately, he's a guy we expect to go out there and win handily until he gets to the finals. Then we'll see where we are.
184, Ben Clymer. Not exactly as strong a record as some of the other guys, only 4 top 20 wrestlers. Do you think this could be a breakout tournament here for Ben Clymer?
He is actually, I think he was a round away from placing in this tournament as a freshman or a sophomore. Last year he was injured, so he didn't get to go out and compete in it, which obviously hurt the team quite a bit. But yeah, here's a guy that's going to be, he's slowly moving up the polls. With the way he's wrestling, he needs to continue improving in certain positions and just staying tough. He's a tough kid, very hard to score on, very strong, and is a guy that's probably going to come in with the 4 or the 5 seed. He's expected to be on that stand and scoring lots of points. Now, what our expectations of him for are like anybody else. Win the tournament. He's going to have the kid LeBlanc in his weight class, who's a returning All-American. Those are the guys we want to see. We have to beat everybody else in order to see him, though.
Now at heavyweight, going back to the beginning of the season, of course, we talked about a Paul Snyder, top-ranked guy in the CAA, and you said you were looking forward to him to, sort of take that next step. So how important is a tournament like this going to be for him to, get that experience, getting ready to take the next step?
This is a great tournament for Paul for a lot of reasons. There's going to be some competition out there for him to wrestle. The Michigan kid's very good. There's a number of quality heavyweights out there, and again, it's always a measuring stick for where we are at this point in the season. He can make himself, as all of our guys can, make a case for them going to the national tournament this weekend. You go out there and you place in this tournament, you're basically riding your way to the national tournament if something would go wrong at the end of the year. So you got to take that into consideration, that we're going out there, we're going to see some top guys that are going to qualify for the national tournament. This is your chance to earn your bid to the national tournament. And Paul's one of those guys that this is a big opportunity, is a big weekend for him, and he needs to be ready to wrestle and go out there and take every single match and wrestle the best he can.
You mentioned big opportunities. You maybe look at a guy like Justin Accordino, who of course has been a top wrestler at times, and of course unfortunate with some injuries. How important could this tournament be for him to kind of get his confidence back up with a strong finish here?
Yeah, we're going to see, from Justin, obviously Wisconsin is out there, so he could run into Cole Schmidt again and see what we've done in the 2 weeks to prepare for that. But he's going to see a lot of good guys out there, and it helps. You go out there, you place, you win the tournament. It gives you a lot of confidence going forward. But even for Justin, we talk about him missing basically 2 years and being a little rusty and getting that confidence back there. A good showing from Justin will help him a long way in getting that confidence going into the break.
And you have some younger guys, maybe some less experienced guys, Jermaine John, Jamie Franco, Matt Lowe. What is this tournament meant to do for them?
Well, it's a tournament that you're going to see good competition, and when you see those guys, you have to be prepared to wrestle, and it's a grind. It's a 2-day tournament. It's going to be a lot of matches, and you have to be up and ready for every single match. It's one of those tournaments where those guys are probably going to go in unseeded, so you don't know who you're going to have first round. You need to be ready to wrestle, and it tests their mentality of, if they do see the number 1 seed first round, are you going to wrestle or are you going to pack it in? And you got to be ready to go out there, because you don't know who you're going to wrestle.
Finally, Coach, obviously 2-day tournament, you mentioned it, a lot of big names out there. What are going to be some keys for your team and some of your guys to just go out there and have a really strong performance?
Well, it's not a hard concept. It's easy to say. It's hard to do. We have to wrestle in our positions. We have to make sure our warm-up's good. We have to make sure we're eating right before the night before the matches, and we got to make sure we're eating the whole day. One of the things that is difficult in a tournament is when you have the weigh-in on Saturday again, you tend not to eat because you're worried about your weigh-in. Well, unfortunately, if you don't make it to Saturday, that's a moot point. You don't have to worry about a weigh-in. So you have to be able to eat constantly throughout the day, make sure you're feeling, you're keeping yourself with energy. That's going to be very important. And then when we are on the mat, it's going to be wrestling in our positions. I mean, that's what it always comes down to. If you can stay in your position, the positions that you're good in, for 6 minutes out of a 7-minute match, you're going to be successful. If you can't, the other guy's going to be successful.
What kind of challenges does the 2-day format pose for your team?
Well, the weight issue is always probably the biggest one when it comes down to the tournament. If you do lose early on, you're wrestling a lot of matches. You could get 6 matches, 7 matches in 2 days. That just takes a toll on your body. Those just wearing yourself down. So those are the things that you gotta try and limit. You know, you gotta stay in that winner's bracket, so you can limit the amount of matches you're gonna be in. Because if you lose early, you will be wrestling every hour, and it will be a very long 2 days.
All right, head coach of the Hofstra-W.B wrestling team, Rob Anspach. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And that'll be all for this week's edition of the Coach Report on GoHofstra.com.